Welcome to Cloudcast, where you get an inside look at St. Cloud, Florida's local government. Whether you live, work, or play here, we're bringing you the information you need to better understand your city. Cloudcast is hosted by our communications team, including Maryemma Abreu, Andrew Sullivan, Deborah Carson, and Jay B. Miller. Thanks for listening in to Cloudcast.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. We're excited for our guest today. It's Abismael Abreu, and he's going to talk a little bit about our newly updated strategic plan. So, Abismael, talk to us a little bit about what that is and what it does for our residents.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, our new 5-year strategic plan runs from fiscal year 24 to 2029. This is one of the first in the city of St. Cloud in terms of the amount of involvement from the community, our community partners, our city staff, and obviously our council and our directors. It's a 6-month process to put together. You started with a community visioning session where the community had the opportunity to design, live sketch how they would like to see the community look in 30 years. And from that, we developed a nice visual that now we're very proud of things that they would like to preserve from the community, as well as things that they would like to see come moving forward.
So, Abismael, we had a strategic plan prior, correct? That one expired. We finished everything in it. How does this update process work?
Yes, so we had a 5-year period prior to this from 2018 to 2023. So because it expired, we wanted to expand and do one for something that happened. If you can tell, the thing about strategic planning has to be a living and breathing document that you have to update every 5 years. After COVID, we realized that things weren't running as they were supposed to anymore. That threw a wrench in the system, so we had to adapt from it. We took the opportunity in this past fiscal year to update it, to actually see what the community is going through in terms of growth and where we have to look forward in the future based on the outlook of St. Cloud.
And you mentioned visioning as part of the process. When you get public input, you're looking to the people really to set what the goals are for their community, things that are important to them.
Correct. We try to get as much feedback as possible because in reality, we try to provide the services that they would like to see. And a strategic plan is one of the mechanisms we use to actually put those plans in motion, because government might know that we know everything, but in reality, the communities who we're trying to serve, and if they're asking for a specific type of service, we got to make sure that we listen to them and we put the plans in place for them.
We hear a lot about growth in the city of St. Cloud. Obviously, we've had a lot of growth in the last 5 years particularly. How does this strategic plan address that for the future needs of our residents?
Because of the feedback received, we actually had the opportunity to revisit what are the things that are really important. You mentioned growth. One of the things that we noticed the most being mentioned was traffic. So our strategic plan actually developed a key focus area of reliable transportation. We also talked to the community about bringing local jobs, expanding the economy. So economic development is another part that we're focusing on. So those components were captured in all of the feedback that we received, and we made sure that we added them to our new plan.
The people were heavily involved in it. It's created. Where can they go to see it?
So everything's on our website. We try to be as transparent as possible, making sure that not only the community knows, but also our staff. So there's different ways. For the public, our city website, we have a dedicated strategic plan page under the city manager's tab where you can find the actual document, as well as we're building a portal for you to see our progress when it comes to statistics and where we are with each project that we promised that we're going to accomplish. And then for staff, we have an internal SharePoint site where every staff member can see why they wake up in the morning and they come to work. What is it that they're putting together? Why do they put that uniform on and actually show up to work? Because they can see the projects that they'll be working on, and they can see the future, what they're working towards as well. So that's an extra layer of motivation for staff, and that's all available internally through our SharePoint drive.
Abismael, talk a little bit about the public involvement with this, because it was a very robust level of involvement this time, and I know that was an intentional thing. So can you talk a little bit about how we brought the community into it and the different ways that we got their input and feedback?
Yeah, it was about a 5-month process just receiving feedback. So, like I mentioned earlier, we had a visioning session that was the start off, the kickoff, kind of giving us that 30-year outlook where we would like to be. We also have a series of community surveys with over 600 and something respondents to it. The surveys were shared not only with the community as a whole, we also have community partners, so the county, the school district, Valencia College, etc. Those individual entities that also have some type of effect in our city have the opportunity to provide feedback. We also share with the youth. We wanted to hear what the youth had to say as well, so we used the help of the school district, sharing that information so we can receive that feedback. And we also develop focus groups for specific areas, economic development, we're looking at transportation, we're looking at natural resources. So we put together a group of folks throughout the research process where we selected subject matter experts to be part of this focus group, and they can provide us feedback as well on that specific area. So that's just kind of an example of the amount of feedback that we received. Once everything was done and completed, encapsulated, and put together into a draft, then we went ahead with phase 2, which is showing what was produced from all that feedback, and the community had another opportunity to provide feedback on that as well. Yeah, we like that, we do not like that, why did you choose this? And we have that opportunity as an open house and have further discussions prior to any adoption by council.
And it's easy to make a plan, right? And I think sometimes in government or in any business, we're guilty of making a great plan and then it sits on a shelf and collects dust for the next 5 years. What kind of things are in place with the city's strategic plan to ensure that it actually informs what we're doing in day-to-day operations for the next 5 years?
And you mentioned it, a plan is a plan unless you put action into it. The strategic plan, what it does is gives staff, it gives the community, and it gives council direction. From there, staff is able to put together business plans. So how are we going to accomplish these things? What that means is we tailor our operations, we tailor the way we budget, we tailor the way we motivate staff, and we tailor the way we show up to work every day, basically to make sure that we accomplish the things that were set as the preferred direction of the city of St. Cloud for the next 5 years. Like I mentioned, strategic plan, business planning to be more specific, we do that every year. We make sure that we map every single type of project that we are putting together in that list to be mapped to an item in the strategic plan. So what do we want to accomplish? Why do you want to suggest this project? Why should we fund it? So you have to make sure that it's matching with something in the strategic plan. What area of that strategic plan is project accomplishing? And if it doesn't meet anything there, it's not going on the budget and it's not going on your business plan. So you're not going to work on it. So what the strategic plan does is keep us focused and gives us that direction so that we can actually do something.
You've mentioned a couple of them, but I think the strategic plan has some key focus areas for us. Can you walk us through what those are?
Correct. I mentioned the 4 key focus areas that this strategic plan has. We have the economic development component. We have effective community safety. We want to be a high-performing government, and we also want to have a reliable transportation network. So those are the key focus areas. And underneath each focus area, we have strategic goals that go into a little bit more detail of what does it mean to be a high-performing government. So that's the way it is structured. From there, then the directors, each department would use that information to build their business plans and their budget accordingly, make sure that they're meeting those goals.
Well, this sounds like it was a heavy lift, so kudos to you for spearheading this process. Any final thoughts you have on our strategic plan and how that's going to help us map out the future of the city over the next 5 years?
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned earlier, having a plan without action is not necessarily the best. So one thing that we do is to make sure that this plan is addressing the needs of the city, is that we also implement some evaluation processes throughout. We're doing quarterly, so every 3 months, evaluation of projects to make sure that we're still on task. We're also using key performance indicator of data to make sure that the projects that we're instituting, that we're moving forward, are actually affecting our numbers for the better. And if they're not, then we take those into account and we delete those projects from the business plan. We also keeping ourselves accountable as a city. Like I mentioned, we have a portal in our city website where we will be sharing those numbers to make sure that the community, with full transparency, can see what our projects and where the money is being affecting our processes the most. So things like, just to give you an example, the job to housing ratio, you'll be able to see that in real time to make sure that we are actually doing something for economic development. Looking at response time for fire safety personnel and how fast are we answering the phone calls to make sure that we are doing something to affect the numbers and make them better in our effective community safety key focus areas. So it's more than just a plan. So we put in a full range of operations and budgeting and evaluation behind our strategic plan.
That's great. Well, thanks for spending some time with us today to give us information about our strategic plan. As you've mentioned, more information and details are available on our city website, which is www.stcloudfl.gov, and you'll click on the City Managers tab and you'll see strategic plans. So check us out on the website to learn more. Thanks again for joining us today on Cloudcast.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Cloudcast. Don't forget to like, follow, rate, and review, and we'll see you next time on Cloudcast.